Every single day, millions of people do something insane. They open an app, request a stranger, and climb into a metal box with someone they have never met. No background check you can verify, no face you recognize. Just a name, a photo, and blind faith that you will arrive at your destination alive. We call it convenience. But what it really is trust. The kind of trust that can get you killed. Tonight I have 3 true stories from rideshare drivers who picked up the wrong passenger. And by the time they realized their mistake, it was already too late to turn back. Before we drive into the dark, I need you to do something. Check your clock. Right now. Look at the time on your phone, your computer, wherever you are. Then drop a comment below. Tell me, what time is it? And where in the world are you watching from? Think of it as a timestamp, proof that you were here, proof that you made it through to the other side. If you are brave enough to continue, hit that subscribe button, tap the like, and make sure that bell is set to all notifications, because these stories do not wait for anyone. Let us begin. I have been driving rideshare for almost 4 years now. Mostly weekends, mostly nights. You see things when you work the graveyard shift. Drunk passengers who cry about their ex. Business travelers who take calls at 2 in the morning like the sun is shining. Couples who argue the entire ride and then tip you $20 like that makes it okay. But none of that prepared me for what happened on a Tuesday in early November. The pickup request came through around 11:45. Not late by rideshare standards, but late enough that the roads were mostly empty. The name on the app said David. The pickup location was a residential street about 8 minutes from where I was parked. The destination was listed as an address 47 minutes away, deep in a rural stretch outside the city limits. Long rides like that are gold for drivers. I accepted without hesitation. When I pulled up to the address, the street was quiet. Just houses with their porch lights off and a few cars parked along the curbs. I sent the standard "I have arrived" notification through the app and waited. About a minute later, the rear passenger door opened. A man slid into the back seat. He was wearing a dark jacket, hood up, and he did not say a word. That was not unusual. Plenty of passengers prefer silence. I glanced at him in the rearview mirror. He was looking straight ahead, not at his phone, not out the window, just forward, like he was staring through the back of my headrest. "David?" I asked. He nodded once. Slow. I confirmed the destination on the app and pulled away from the curb. The first 10 minutes were uneventful. We hit the highway, traffic was thin, and the GPS said we would arrive around 12:35 in the morning. I had a podcast playing at low volume, something about unsolved disappearances. Ironic, looking back. I remember glancing in the mirror a few times. The man had not moved. His posture was rigid. His hands were flat on his thighs. I could not see his face clearly because of the hood, but something about the stillness made my skin prickle. I turned the podcast off. The silence that followed was heavy, not peaceful. Heavy. At the 20-minute mark, my phone made a sound. It was a notification from the Rideshare app, a little chime I had heard 1,000 times. But when I looked at the screen, my stomach dropped. Rider canceled trip. I blinked. Read it again. Rider canceled trip. The words were right there on the screen in plain text. The trip was over. According to the app, I was no longer carrying a passenger, but I was. I looked in the rearview mirror. The man was still sitting in the back seat. He had not moved. His hood was still up. His hands were still flat on his thighs. And now, just barely, I could see the edge of his mouth. He was smiling. Not a friendly smile. Not an awkward smile. It was the kind of smile that had too many teeth. The kind that stretched too wide for the face it was on. My hands went cold on the steering wheel. I told myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe the app glitched. Maybe the real David had accidentally canceled and then re-requested, and this was still him. Maybe I was overreacting. But deep down, some ancient part of my brain was screaming at me to get out of that car. I kept driving. I did not know what else to do. We were on the highway doing 70 miles per hour. There was no shoulder, no exit for another 6 miles. And the man in my backseat had not said a single word since he got in. That is when my phone rang. Not a notification. An actual phone call. The sound cut through the silence like a blade. I looked at the screen. The caller ID showed the in-app number that rideshare companies use to connect drivers and passengers. The same number that had been assigned to this trip. The trip that had been canceled. I answered. "Hello?" A man's voice came through. Young, confused, and very much not sitting in my back seat. "Hey, I'm still at the pickup spot. Are you coming or not? The app says you already started the trip, but I have been standing out here for like 20 minutes. The words did not make sense at first. I heard them, but my brain refused to process them. "What?" I managed. "Dude, I've been waiting on the sidewalk. My name is David. You're supposed to be picking me up. Where are you?" I looked in the rearview mirror. The man in the back seat was still smiling, but now his head had tilted. Just slightly. Like a dog hearing a strange sound. He was looking directly at the mirror. Directly at me. I am already on the highway," I said, my voice cracking. "Someone got in my car." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "What do you mean someone got in your car? I've been standing here the whole time. I never got in." The call ended. Whether he hung up or the connection dropped, I do not know. But suddenly the silence in the car was deafening. My heart was slamming against my ribs. Sweat was running down my back. Every instinct I had was telling me that I was in danger. Real danger. The kind you do not walk away from. I saw a highway exit sign approaching. 2 miles. I pressed the gas pedal down. The man in the back seat did not react. He just sat there, smiling. That horrible, too wide smile that made my stomach turn. I could see his eyes now, under the shadow of his hood. They were fixed on the mirror. Fixed on me. I took the exit too fast. The car lurched. Tires squealed. But I did not care. I needed to get off this highway. I needed to get away from him. There was a gas station at the bottom of the ramp, lit up. A few cars parked outside. People. I pulled into the lot and slammed the brakes. The car jerked to a stop under the fluorescent lights of the fuel pumps. I turned around in my seat to look at the man directly. He had not moved. His hands were still flat on his thighs. His hood was still up, and he was still smiling. "Get out," I said. My voice was shaking. I did not care. "Get out of my car. Now." He did not respond. He just stared at me with those eyes. Those empty, patient eyes. I threw open my door and stumbled out onto the pavement. My legs almost gave out. I backed away from the vehicle, keeping my eyes on the rear window. The man slowly turned his head to watch me through the glass. Then he opened the door. He stepped out of the car with a kind of fluidity that did not look natural. Too smooth, too controlled. Like he was not used to moving the way normal people move. He stood beside my car for a moment. Just stood there, watching me. Then he smiled one last time, and he walked away. Into the dark, past the edge of the gas station lights, into the tree line beyond the parking lot. I stood there for what felt like an hour, shaking, unable to move. When I finally got back into my car, I locked every door. I drove straight home. I did not take another ride that night. The app never showed any record of that trip. No payment, no rating, no passenger profile. It was like David never existed. But someone got in my car that night. and I still do not know who he was or what he wanted. All I know is that when I looked into those eyes, I saw something that was not quite human looking back at me, and it was smiling. Let me tell you something about late-night pickups in the bar district. You see the worst of people, the drunk ones who cannot walk straight, the angry ones who got rejected, the sad ones who just keep apologizing for being alive. I have driven them all. I have cleaned vomit off my seats at 3 in the morning. I have listened to passengers scream at each other in languages I do not understand. But there is one pickup I still have nightmares about. It happened on a Saturday night in October. The time was around 1:30 in the morning. The streets were packed with the usual crowd, stumbling between clubs, yelling at each other, making poor decisions under neon lights. The ride request came from an account named Sarah. The pickup location was outside a bar I had picked up from a dozen times before. The destination was what caught my attention, an address 40 minutes outside of the city, in an industrial area near the old storage facilities. Odd destination for a bar pickup, but not unheard of. People live in strange places. I accepted the ride and pulled up to the location. What I saw made me pause. There were 2 men standing on the sidewalk, both big, both wearing dark clothing. One of them had a tight grip on the arm of a young woman in a silver dress. She was barely standing. Her head was lolling. Her eyes were unfocused. Her makeup was smeared down her cheeks like she had been crying. The other man was waving me down. I rolled down my window. "Sarah?" I asked. "Yeah, that is her," the first man said. He jerked his chin toward the woman. "She had way too much to drink. We are just helping her get home safe." I looked at the woman. She was not making eye contact with anyone. Her lips were moving slightly, but no sound was coming out. She looked like she was trying to say something but could not form the words. Something felt wrong. "Is she okay?" I asked. The second man stepped closer to my window. He was smiling, but the smile did not reach his eyes. "She's fine, man. Just wasted. Her friend ordered the ride for her, but she had to leave early. We said we would make sure she got in the car." I looked at the app. The account said Sarah. The photo showed a blonde woman. This woman had dark hair, but photos are not always accurate. People use old pictures. People dye their hair. But the destination, the storage facility, that was still nagging at me. "Where exactly is she going?" I asked. The first man laughed. "Already in the app, bro. Just drive." They opened my rear passenger door without waiting for permission. They practically shoved the woman into the back seat. She slumped against the window immediately. Her eyes closed. The second man leaned down and looked at me through the open door. "Drive safe," he said. Then he shut the door and walked away. I sat there for a moment, engine idling. The woman in the back seat had not moved, had not spoken, had not even acknowledged that she was in a car. I should have canceled right there. I should have called the police. But I told myself I was overreacting. Maybe she really was just drunk. Maybe those were her friends. Maybe I was being paranoid. I pulled away from the curb. 5 minutes into the drive, the woman stirred. She lifted her head slowly. Her eyes opened, but they were glassy, unfocused, like she was looking through me instead of at me. "Where?" she mumbled. "I am taking you home," I said. "The address in the app, is that right?" She blinked several times. Her brow furrowed. She looked around the car like she had no idea where she was. I do not know those men," she whispered. My blood went cold. "What? Those men? At the bar? I do not know them. They came up to me and..." Her voice trailed off. Her head dropped again. Whatever was in her system was pulling her back under. I gripped the steering wheel. My mind was racing. She did not know them. Those men were not her friends. and the destination in the app was a storage facility in the middle of nowhere. I was not taking this woman home. I was taking her to them. I made a decision. I changed the route. I started driving toward the nearest police station. It was about 15 minutes away. I figured I would get her there, explain what happened, and let them sort it out. That was the plan. But about 5 minutes later, I saw the headlights. They appeared in my rearview mirror out of nowhere. A black SUV, no front license plate, high beams blazing. It was gaining on me fast. At first I thought it was just an aggressive driver, someone in a hurry. But then it got close, too close, right on my bumper. Close enough that the light was flooding my entire car. Then it swerved into the left lane and pulled up beside me. I glanced over. The driver of the SUV was staring at me. It was one of the men from the pickup, the one who had smiled at me. But he was not smiling now. He jerked the wheel toward my car. I swerved to avoid him. My tires screeched. The woman in the back seat slid across the seat and groaned. The SUV dropped back behind me. Then it surged forward again, ramming into my rear bumper. My car lurched. I struggled to keep control. Adrenaline was flooding my system. My hands were shaking on the wheel. This was not a warning. They were trying to run me off the road. The woman in the back seat was awake now. Her eyes were wide. She was clutching the door handle. "What is happening?" she asked, her voice cracking. "Hold on," I said. I floored the accelerator. My car was not fast, but it was enough to put some distance between us and the SUV. The engine screamed as I pushed it past 90. The SUV stayed with me. It was gaining again. I saw a sign ahead. Police station, 1 mile. 1 mile. I just had to make it 1 mile. The SUV rammed me again. Harder this time. I felt the impact in my spine. My car fishtailed. I barely kept it on the road. The woman screamed. I could see the police station now, just ahead. Lights on. Patrol cars in the lot. I jerked the wheel and turned into the entrance so fast that my car nearly flipped. I slammed on the brakes and skidded to a stop right in front of the main doors. I looked in the rearview mirror. The SUV had stopped at the edge of the parking lot, just sitting there, engine running. Then slowly it backed up, turned around, and drove away into the night. I do not remember what I said to the officers inside. I just remember shaking. I remember the woman crying. I remember them asking me questions I could barely answer. They ran her information. Her name was not Sarah. It was something else entirely. She had no memory of how she had ended up at that bar. No memory of ordering a ride. The last thing she remembered was someone handing her a drink. The police told me that if I had followed the app, if I had taken her to that storage facility, she would have disappeared. Those men were never found. The account that ordered the ride was deleted within an hour. And I still think about her sometimes. The way she looked at me when she realized what had almost happened. The way she whispered thank you before the officers took her away. I do not drive late nights anymore. Some fares are not worth the risk. There are certain hours of the night that feel different from others. Between 2 and 4 in the morning, the world changes. The streets empty. The noise dies. And the people you pick up during those hours are not the same as the ones you pick up at midnight. They are quieter, stranger, like they belong to a different version of the city. I have been driving rideshare long enough to know this. I have made peace with the weird energy of the dead hours. The passengers who stare out the window and never say a word. The ones who laugh at nothing. The ones who ask you to take routes that make no sense. But I was not prepared for the passenger I picked up at 3:17 in the morning on a Thursday in late September. The pickup request came through while I was parked near the edge of downtown, waiting for a fare. The name on the app was just a single letter. M. That happens sometimes. People use initials. Privacy thing. The pickup location was a corner I recognized, near the old theater district. Not a lot of foot traffic at that hour, but not completely dead either. I drove over and pulled up to the curb. At first, I did not see anyone. The sidewalk was empty. The streetlights were working, but the shadows between them were thick. I was about to send the "I have arrived" notification when I noticed something in my peripheral vision. A figure was standing about 20 feet away, near the entrance of a closed pharmacy. I had not seen them approach. They were just there, perfectly still. Watching my car, I rolled down my window. "M?" The figure stepped forward into the light. It was a person. Man or woman, I could not tell at first. They were wearing a plain gray coat that went down to their knees and dark pants. Their face was pale, almost too pale, and their expression was blank, not neutral, blank, like a mannequin. They walked toward my car, not quickly, not slowly, just evenly. Each step the same length, each stride the same rhythm, like a metronome. They opened the rear passenger door and slid in. I turned to look at them. "Where to?" I asked. They looked at me. Or at least, I think they did. Their eyes were fixed in my general direction, but it felt like they were looking past me, through me. "The address is in the app," they said. Their voice was flat. No inflection, no emotion, like someone reading a script they did not understand. I checked the app. The destination was about 25 minutes away, on the outskirts of the city near an industrial corridor. Not the best neighborhood, but I had driven there before. I pulled away from the curb. For the first few minutes, I tried to make small talk. It is what I do. Helps pass the time, keeps things from getting awkward. "Late night, huh?" No response. "You heading home from work?" Nothing. Quiet night out there. Silence. I gave up. Some passengers do not want to talk. That is fine. I turned on some music at low volume. Jazz. Something calm. But I could not shake the feeling that something was off. I kept glancing in the rearview mirror. The passenger had not moved. Not an inch. Their hands were folded in their lap. Their posture was rigid. Their head was perfectly centered, like a portrait photograph. And then I noticed something that made my skin crawl. They were speaking. Their lips were moving, just slightly, opening and closing in a rhythm, like they were saying words. But no sound was coming out, and their lips were not syncing with anything I could identify. The shapes were wrong, too wide, too slow, like someone mimicking speech without understanding what speech was supposed to look like. I turned off the music. The car was silent, but their lips kept moving. I focused on the road, told myself I was tired, told myself my eyes were playing tricks on me. That is when the GPS started acting strange. The voice that usually gave me directions, calm, robotic, predictable, began to skip. It would say, "Turn left in," and then cut off. Then it would say, "Recalculating," over and over, even though I was on the correct route. Then the audio dropped to a low hum. Then static. The screen flickered. The map glitched. Lines appeared where they should not have been. Street names scrambled into random characters. And then the destination changed. The address in the app, the one I had been driving toward, was gone, replaced with 2 words in capital letters. Current location. I stared at the screen. My car was still moving. I was still driving down the road. But according to the app, I was already at the destination. And then the screen went black. I slammed the brakes. The car came to a stop in the middle of an empty street. No other vehicles, no pedestrians, just me and the passenger and the silence. I turned around in my seat. The passenger was looking at me, not past me this time, at me. Their eyes were locked on mine, and they smiled. It was not a normal smile. It was too wide, too many teeth. And it stayed on their face without any change, like it was painted there. "We have arrived," they said. Their lips did not move when they spoke. The voice came from somewhere else, from everywhere, from inside the car and outside the car at the same time. I reached for my door handle. "Get out," I said. My voice was shaking. I did not care. "Get out of my car, right now." The passenger tilted their head, just slightly, just enough to look wrong. Then they reached for the door handle, and they opened the door with that same fluid, mechanical precision I had noticed before. They stepped out onto the road. I hit the gas immediately. My tires squealed. I did not look back. But then I did. I could not help it. Something made me look in the rearview mirror. The passenger was standing in the middle of the road, exactly where I had left them. They were not walking, not waving, not running. They were just standing there, arms at their sides, head slightly tilted, watching. I drove for 10 minutes before I felt safe enough to stop. I pulled over on a random residential street and sat there with my hands shaking on the wheel. I checked the app. There was no trip history, no passenger named M, no destination, nothing, like it had never happened. I do not know what I picked up that night. I have run through every possibility. A prank, a performance artist, someone on drugs, some kind of elaborate hoax. But none of it explains the GPS. None of it explains the voice coming from nowhere. None of it explains the way they moved, the way they smiled. I still drive. I still take late-night fares. But I never accept single-letter names anymore. And I never, ever look in the rearview mirror unless I have to, because I am afraid that one night I will look up and they will be sitting there again, smiling, waiting. Those were 3 true stories from rideshare drivers who encountered something they cannot explain. Real people, real cars, real terror. But before you close this video, I want to share something that might actually save your life one day. Every year, there are documented cases of fake rideshare drivers abducting passengers. Criminals who put fake stickers on their cars and prey on people who do not double-check. So here are 3 things you should always do before getting into a rideshare vehicle. First, check the license plate. The app tells you exactly what plate to look for. Match it before you open that door, every single time. No exceptions. Second, use the share ride feature. Tell someone where you are going. Let a friend track your trip in real time. Make sure somebody knows where you are supposed to be. Third, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. You are allowed to cancel. You are allowed to walk away. No ride is worth your safety. If these stories made you think twice, consider subscribing to the Nightmare Index. Hit that bell so you never miss a story. And share this video with someone who uses rideshare. It might be the video that saves their life. This has been the Nightmare Index. Drive safe and always check the backseat.